Hello, welcome back to Turntable Guy. On the bench today we have another Pioneer. This time we've got the absolute entry-level model of this series of table. I guess we could call them the 5 series. This is the 512. So as of now, I believe on my channel I've done, in this 5 series, I've done the 518, the 514, the 560, and now we're going to do the baby here, which is the 512. And for those of you who are saying that this one's probably almost identical to the 514, yes, it is. But my goal here is to document as many turntables and models as possible. And this one definitely comes in as that, because we have not done a 512 yet. And if someone's searching, you know, how do I service my 512 or replace the belt on a 512 or whatever, it's going to be documented here. And oddly enough, just like that 514, no belt, but I do have a belt for this one, and we'll be installing that. It's very similar, obviously, since they're from the same family. This one feels good. I had just a quick look at it. It's got the original cartridge on it, which a lot of these Pioneers came with. It's an XL. This one's the ES70. So that's the original cartridge. Okay, actually, let's just leave that off because we're going to have to do a service. And this mat has seen better days. It is starting to get that platter mat rot. And if you can see there, it's starting to get lots and lots of micro cracks. So this has probably seen better days. I would junk this. All right, so first thing, remove our platter. And it's pretty clean where the belt rides, but we will be cleaning that anyway. This is a little different than the 514. So if you remember last time, I had the bottom off and we had a peak, and you need to remove this nut, and I believe the spindle goes out through the bottom. I don't know what this plate does, so I'm going to take it off right now just to see what it's hiding. Looks like there's a couple screws in from the back side holding something on here. Oh, there's a spindle just attached to this. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, the spindle's attached to this, and we've got, looks like a a motor run capacitor. Yeah, we got a motor run capacitor here. So that's a bit different. So we can service this right from here. And then we're probably only going to need to have to take the bottom off to do the motor. So this is a really simple turntable to service. So while we're here, we might as well just go ahead and service the spindle bearing here. And let's take care of that. Looks like we're not going to need to remove this nut. We're probably only going to have to need to remove this one screw on the side here. Can you see that? I know it's a bit of an angle right there. Let's zoom in a little bit. How's that for focus? Let's move this down. Okay. So we're going to remove our screw here. Don't strip this screw, because you'll never get it out. And if it is stripped, okay, one of the best things to do is get a set of cutting pliers like this and grab the screw and twist until you get it loose, and you can get a screwdriver on there to remove it, okay? There we go. It's all good. I'm pretty sure there's a ball bearing down there. Excuse my head. Yes, there is. So you can get that sucker out. Sometimes it's stuck in there from the grease. No luck yet. So here's our main spindle. As you can see, there's almost no lubrication left on it. Most of the lube has gone between where the actual retaining screw is. I don't know if that's scoring. No, it's just grease. It doesn't look like it's in bad shape or there's any scoring on it, but it's definitely become rather dry. So to clean this, we're going to use a little bit of 70% alcohol. I don't use anything more than 70 for cleaning jobs. The only time I use something a little bit pure, like a 90 or higher, is for tape decks and where you really want evaporation to take place right away, where you don't want any water or whatever the other ingredients are. So this is a very light grease that Pioneer used back in the day. There's a little bit of scoring here. You can just see it. And that's from, you know, there being no lubrication. And that's why I prefer, you know, in a case like this, I prefer an oil. Just because the oil is going to go into the bearing. And when you press down the spindle, it's going to come up. The hydraulic pressure is going to lift it. And it's going to surround the entire spindle with lubricant, right? That's why I like it better than a grease. Excuse my dog, he is barking. So now we're going to clean out the pit. You could remove this as well. You could remove the nut and pull it out from the bottom if you wanted to do that. I really don't see the need in this case. There's the ball bearing. Okay, so we got a tiny little ball bearing. And this one, we're going to clean that as well. And when you get the ball bearing out, it's actually easier to clean the bottom of the bearing well. So just clean that off. Don't lose it. Okay. So the couple options here. Pioneer used a grease. So in those cases, I have been using a thicker oil, kind of like a 80W90 or whatever. That's one option. But I recently purchased something which I have been really enjoying using, and that's electric motor oil from 3-in-1. And this stuff's been great. I'm going to use it again here. I'm going to put a few drops in there. The first thing we'll do is we'll grab our little ball. Actually, let's put a drop first before we drop in the ball bearing. 1 drop. Okay, 2. And we're going to drop our ball bearing in. Another couple drops around the sides like that. And just a little bit on the spindle. And we'll press it back in. There we go. Okay. Put our screw back in. And that's our bearing service. Very nice. I am really, really enjoying this oil. All right, so that is that. Let's button this back down. And like I was saying there, you know, there's just a little bit of oil that has come out of the pit, and it's just hovering on top of the bearing well there, right? So you know that the entire spindle is covered in lubricant. Whereas a grease, you don't know where the grease is going to go, right? It's not as fluid, so. All right, let's see how it spins. Beautiful. Look at that puppy go. Dead silent. Really nicely lubricated. That'll spin forever. What was Newton's law? The body in motion? Well, body motion stays in greater motion when it's got a good quality lubricant. So, all right, let's do the motor. Somebody's been in here before. Just want to see what's under here. So one thing I'm noticing about the 512, oh, Jesus Christ, you guys can't see that. Zoom back out, there we go. Anyway, this screw was not down all the way. One thing I'm noticing about the 512 right away is a little bit cheaper build quality for sure. Oh, okay, so here's access to your arm. Here's the spindle we just serviced. So everything's nice and accessible here, which is great. Put that plate back down. And we'll get at servicing our motor. Yeah, just noticing that build quality is just a little bit not as nice as the 514. I'm sure as you go up the line, it gets even better. Until you get to that tank of a 560. And one thing I have noticed, and I've already informed the owner of this, these feet have collapsed. So they are no longer any good. And what's happening is the motor cage here is actually sitting on the surface that the turntable's on. The feet no longer have any kind of suspension. So I've mentioned that to him. And as you can see, they just spin freely, even though the screws are all the way down. So these are shot, and they have to be replaced. All right. So, motor. Let's take this foot off too. I'll show you what happens to them. So here's the classic Pioneer foot rot. It's just, actually, you know what? Has this one been, no, that looks factory. You can just see what happens, how the feet crack and the rubber degrades. Like you can see the splitting all through here. And this causes the foot to collapse under its own weight, right? The turntable's pretty heavy, and it's just, there you go, just cracking. This foot shot, and all four of them will be like that. And they just collapse to the point where the motor is no longer suspended, you know, and it's not kept on. Let's leave this off while we're servicing that. It's no longer suspended off the surface that the table's sitting on, and it will start to make noise. And our motor. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I think the speed switch, I should have removed that from the top. Okay, so we'll do that. So here's our motor. The speed selection switch is right here, so it's all on this plate. It does have oiling points on the top here, but I like to get at those lower bearings. So let's pull off these E-clips here, and we'll get this pulled out of the this. I'm just trying to see if I will be able to randangle this out of here. I think this arm's going to have to be removed. So I think we're going to have to remove this and get it out of the way. Ooh. Okay, yeah, definitely remove this speed selector arm here. Get that out of the way. Now we've got better access to our motor. Okay, 3 big E-clips. 1, 2, and 3. That should pull this out of here. Let's put that aside. Here's our motor. Gonna have to remove this plate here. Take that off, set it aside. Here we go. Classic Pioneer AC motor. Very simple to service at this point. Shall we zoom in a little bit? There. Okay, so you're going to want to remove 2 screws and 2 nuts. Lock washer as well. Take your screw out. Other side. Come on. Piss off. Okay. All right. So now you can separate your motor. There's our bottom bearing. It's come out. Put that to the side. And remove our top and our rotor. Okay. So that reveals the top. Doesn't feel very well lubricated, I'll be honest with you. It's probably never been oiled. For the bottom, we'll use the same oil. And there is a little bit of felt around this sintered bearing here, so you can put a little bit of oil there. And that'll work its way in. As you can see, it disappeared right away. That sucked it up big time. Just put a little dab there. And for our top, I'm going to put a little drop. You know what? I'm going to use the factory oil. Oiling spots here. I hate this oil. The only thing I don't like about this oiling bottle is the nozzle's way too big. So it will go right in like that. And it will be absorbed in. That already feels much better. Much, much better. Ah, yes. Look at it go now. Excellent. Okay, that's it. Back in she goes. Put your bottom bearing cap back on. Just like that. Screws come in through the bottom. Lock washer. Nut. Other side. Lock washer. Nut. The oil's already gone down. So this thing's starving for oil. A couple drops. And we'll just hold this. And tighten our screw. There we go. Okay, so that goes there. Okay. Did you see that? Forgot to put the E-clips back on. These rubber mounts for the motor are still in excellent condition. Okay, now we'll mount our speed selector again. Just to go through there. Okay. All right, that's working great. Now we put our motor back in. There we go. put our foot back on. And that's that. Just gonna have a quick test here to see how that motor is running. So this one turns on when you move the arm towards the record. The motor's definitely sitting down on the table here. You can feel the vibration a little bit. Once I lift it up, it quiets down. Okay. 33, 45. All right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to clean our motor spindle. Okay, can you see that? And to do that, we just use a tiny bit of alcohol on a Q-tip. Sorry about that. Because what you want to do is remove any belt gunk that's sitting on here. So get your motor spinning. A little bit of Q-tip and just clean the spindle. You want to remove as much belt residue as possible. Because if a belt had died on here, it's going to leave a very sticky, gooey mess. As you can see on the Q-tip as I run it. Oh, this is really bad. Oh, wow. That's terrible. Look at that. That is basically just belt. Melted belt. And then with the dry side, just clean it off. And you might have to do it more than once. And if it's really, really, really bad, you can use a tiny bit of the finest sandpaper you have, and you can polish that once it's done, right? Don't use anything heavier than like 1500 grit or 2000 grit, because you'll sand it down, and then you'll throw off the speed on your turntable, because you're actually removing circumference on that spindle. Actually, leave that. Next, get your platter, and what we're going to do is we're going to clean where the belt rides on the platter as well. You just want to clean here. And again, you're removing belt residue. Okay. And just let me grab the new belt. I'll be right back. All right, here's our belt. Brand new. It's a 23.6 inch belt, so which is pretty common size for most Japanese tables. You know you have a good belt when you wrap around the belt part of the platter here, it stays, right? It doesn't fall off, and it's just got a good amount of snugness. Maybe perhaps a little too much there because I dislodged it. So yeah, so you just want to pull there, and you get just enough tension, right? That when you put it back, it sticks, but not so tight that it's going to pull the motor in and affect speed. So just grab your belt like that, put your platter down, and wrap it around the motor spindle. And we should have a spinning turntable now. And we do. Let's check speed for fun. Okay, here we go. 33. Looks good. Without the needle on the record, you want it to just ever so slightly move forward. You want it fast. So let's say without the needle down the record, you want the speed at like 33.5. Because when you drop the needle down, you're going to put down, 1.5, 2 grams, whatever you're using. And that's going to slow it down just that little bit extra and get you right at 33.3. Here's our 45, which also looks excellent. Back down to 33. This table is done. Okay, we'll put our platter back down. And let's put our cartridge back on and do a sound test. Alright, so this old cart probably runs at 2 grams. To balance your tone arm, don't do it when the platter's spinning. You might drop the needle and damage it. I know what I'm doing here, I think. So I'm just going to do it with it running. And you know what thing I've noticed? There is no anti-skating on this turntable. So it's a really base model type table. But you know what? I'd rather have this than a modern Rega. Better motor any day of the week. Okay, there we go. That's perfectly balanced. So return your arm back, lock it down, and you're going to want to turn the inner ring to 0 while holding the weight. And now you're going to want to adjust for 2 grams. So just spin it counterclockwise until you reach 2. And for this turntable, it's done. So let's plug in and see what kind of sound we have. Oh dear, I just noticed something. We have no ground. Okay, we're just gonna, I'll fix this later. You don't need to see that. I'm just gonna remove a little bit of cable insulation there to expose some bare copper or whatever that is. Just twist that together. So we've got a ground connection. And we'll check for sound, because you never know. Sometimes RCA cables can go bad, or RCA plugs. I find that plugs go bad far more than cables do. And let's see. Cueing works nicely. Got sound in both channels. That laughing is the vintage turntable gods laughing at today's modern turntables. This has no auto return. It's 100% manual. So you got to remember at the end of the record, whoops, don't do that. At the end of the record, it's just going to sit there. And you know what? It's not going to damage anything if it does happen to sit there for a little while. I mean, don't leave it there all day, but it's just going to sit there. Right? So it's 100% manual turntable. But boy, is that a nice table. What lovely quality. A motor that will run forever. It was definitely thirsty for oil. The main bearing was in terrible condition, I have to say. The lubricant had dried right up. This mat has seen better days and really needs to go. But other than that, we've got one hell of a nice turntable here. Pioneer 512, the PL-512, fully manual, AC motor, belt drive turntable from Pioneer. The much sought after 5 Series, and for great reason. Great tables. They need feet though. Always remember, if you buy one of these tables, check the feet. They're going to be garbage. You're going to need to replace them. Anyway, guys, that's another video. Another one in the books. And we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.